All right, get ready to dive deep, folks, because we're about to explore some seriously fascinating ideas about consciousness, enlightenment, and the whole human experience. You've given us quite a collection of excerpts from Osho's talks, and it looks like we'll be covering everything from the nature of truth and bliss to, well, the quirks of human behavior and even the pitfalls of organized religion.
Yeah, what really strikes me about these excerpts is how Osho manages to take these really profound concepts and make them, well, relatable.
Right.
He uses these stories and humor and real-life examples to really make these ideas come alive. It's not just theoretical, it's thought-provoking for sure.
Absolutely. So I guess we should start with a quick overview. We're looking at a collection of talks by Osho, the spiritual teacher. And our mission, if you will, for this deep dive is to, I guess, explore some of his most, well, compelling ideas and see how they might apply to our own lives.
Yeah, and I think one of the core concepts that we see coming up again and again in these excerpts is this idea of Sachchidanand, the Sanskrit word, which essentially means truth, consciousness, bliss. But Osho, he doesn't stop at a mere definition.
Right. It's not just about, knowing what it means, but actually experiencing it, right?
Exactly. Osho suggests that Sachchidanand, this experience, it's not about achieving something that you don't already have. It's more about like peeling back the layers. The layers of conditioning, of beliefs, all the things that keep us from, I guess, experiencing the truth of who we already are.
Interesting. So how does this differ from, the concept of Satyam Shivam Sundaram? I mean, they seem like they're both pointing towards something, well, profound.
You've hit on a really subtle but important distinction that Osho makes. While both concepts, you're right, they point towards an ultimate reality, but Osho, he suggests that Sundaram, beauty as a crucial element, can actually become an obstacle.
An obstacle.
Yeah, because it can lead us to seek fulfillment in these external forms rather than realizing that inherent truth and bliss, that's already within.
So it's more about an inward journey than an outward search for beauty, right?
Exactly. And Osho, he uses some really striking images, metaphors to describe this. He talks about soundless sound, like a rippleless lake, to really capture the essence of Sachchidanand.
I like that. A rippleless lake. So it's a state of pure stillness, of quiet, almost like a silent laughter that comes when you transcend all the noise of the mind.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Okay, well, moving on to another intriguing idea that comes up in these excerpts. It's the concept of two paths to enlightenment, the Arhata and the Bodhisattva. Now, for those of us who are still newbies on this whole enlightenment thing, can you break it down for us? What's the difference?
So the Arhata is traditionally seen as someone who seeks enlightenment for themselves, focusing on individual liberation. They really dedicate themselves to practices like meditation, self-inquiry, ultimately aiming to break free from suffering.
So it's a bit like going on a solo retreat, delving deep into your own inner world and just seeking personal liberation.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. The Bodhisattva, on the other hand, they also seek enlightenment. But they feel this deep compassion for all beings.
Okay, so they see the suffering in the world and they feel compelled to, I don't know, help others achieve liberation as well.
Yeah, and there's this interesting paradox that Osho highlights here. He suggests that even though the Bodhisattva is delaying their own full enlightenment to help others, this very act of compassion, it becomes a catalyst for their own growth.
Right, because by helping others, you're ultimately helping yourself as well. But here's where I get a little confused. Do we choose which path we take? Like, is it a conscious decision or is it something deeper, like predetermined or something?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. Osho, he says, our path, whether we're an Arhata or a Bodhisattva, isn't a choice that we make with our conscious minds. It's revealed when we transcend the mind itself, when we go beyond those limited ego-driven desires.
Wow, so it's like saying that our true path is already laid out for us. We just need to quiet the mind enough to discover what it is. So I guess that means the Arhata, focused on their own liberation, wouldn't actually interact with the world at all.
That's actually a common misconception. Osho describes the Arhata not as someone who's hiding away from the world, but more like a beacon.
Yeah.
Someone who, by achieving their own enlightenment, they become this source of inspiration and guidance for anyone drawn to their path.
So they're still present, but in a more effortless way, sort of radiating an energy that others can pick up on.
Exactly. It becomes a teaching in itself.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it. So we have these two paths to enlightenment, the Arhata and the Bodhisattva, and both lead to the same destination, but through different motivations and approaches. And speaking of approaches, one of the key practices that Osho emphasizes for both paths is meditation.
Right. He really sees it as the foundation for quieting the mind, for connecting with our inner truth, and realizing, I guess, our full potential.
He talks about meditation as a way to access intuition, which he defines as pure consciousness, right? But how is that different from intellect, which is like the mind, or instinct, which is like the body?
That's such a good question. And it's fascinating how Osho separates these three: intellect, instinct, and intuition. Intellect, the domain of the mind, can often get us stuck in overthinking. And instinct, well, instinct is rooted in the body. It's great for survival, but can lead us to, I guess, act impulsively.
So where does intuition fit in? It's somewhere in between.
Exactly. Osho suggests that intuition, it's like this pure consciousness, untainted by all the mental chatter or primal urges. And he sees meditation as the key to tapping into this deeper knowing.
So it's like silencing that inner critic, that voice that's always chattering in our heads, and tuning into a more subtle, more intuitive way of perceiving the world.
That's a great way to put it. And he suggests that through consistent meditation, we can actually develop this faculty, this intuition, this ability to access, this deeper wisdom.
It's like our internal GPS guiding us toward, I guess, our true path. But how does this connect to the idea of duality that he talks about?
Good question. This leads us to another important part of Osho's teaching. This idea of, well, transcending the limitations of the mind, especially this tendency to create these dualities.
You mean like those binary ways of thinking that we often get stuck in? Good versus bad, right versus wrong, us versus them.
Right. Our minds naturally categorize and divide. But Osho suggests that this kind of thinking, this dualistic thinking, well, it can cause a lot of unnecessary suffering.
Because we get so caught up in the oppositions that we miss, the bigger picture, the interconnectedness of it all.
Exactly. And this brings us to another concept that Osho uses, Gestalt. It's about a sudden shift in perception, a moment where, our understanding just flips. We see things in a completely new way.
It's like those optical illusions where you can see two images depending on how you look at it.
Precisely. Osho, he uses this idea of Gestalt to explain how our perception of reality can shift, especially when we break free from dualistic thinking. And he suggests that, well, a lot of philosophical viewpoints get trapped in one extreme or the other.
So, like, some might say the world is an illusion, while others might say matter is the only reality.
Right. But Osho says we need to go beyond those viewpoints, transcend these dualities, and experience both matter and mind from a place of, well, detached awareness. He talks about becoming the witness, the observer, who's not really identified with either.
Okay, so finding that space of pure awareness where we can experience everything without getting caught up in all the mental chatter and distractions.
That's it. Osho suggests that true luxury, true grace, it lies in this ability to witness, without getting entangled in all the drama.
All right, so we've already covered quite a bit of ground from Sachchidanand to those two paths of enlightenment, the Arhata and Bodhisattva, to even the power of meditation and laughter. So now, I guess we'll dive into, maybe some of the more, maybe a little bit more challenging aspects of Osho's teachings, which are his views on love and relationships. I mean, he certainly didn't hold back when it came to, challenging those traditional views on these subjects.
Yeah, that's one of the things that makes exploring Osho's work so fascinating. I mean, he really pushes us to question a lot of assumptions. And when it comes to love and relationships, he really makes us reevaluate what it means to connect with, another person.
Yeah, and he wasn't afraid to, stir things up a little bit. From the excerpts that you've shared, it's pretty obvious that he had some ideas that might ruffle a few feathers.
Oh, for sure. But I think it's important to remember that for Osho, love, it wasn't so much about, a destination like finding the one, but more about a journey, a continuous process of growth and self-discovery and transformation that happens both within ourselves and in connection with another person.
So it's not about finding the one, but becoming the one, and then bringing that wholeness, that self-awareness, I guess, into your relationships.
Yeah, exactly. He believed that, we often approach relationships with, a lot of baggage, all of these unmet needs and unresolved issues that we're hoping that our partner will somehow, magically fill.
Right, like they're going to complete us or something.
Yeah, and that inevitably leads to disappointment.
It's like, that saying, you can't love someone else until you love yourself. It seems like Osho is really emphasizing that inner work, that understanding of yourself before you can truly connect with someone else.
For sure. And he goes even further and suggests that, a lot of relationships, they get stuck at this this superficial level. He calls it love is pure sex, where it's primarily based on physical attraction and, I guess, just the need for gratification.
Okay, so mistaking lust for love and then being surprised when things fall apart.
Exactly. And he challenges us to move beyond this surface level and explore those deeper forms of love. He talks
Yeah.
about love from heart to heart, which involves a deeper emotional connection, empathy, vulnerability.
So moving beyond the physical, really connecting on an emotional level, sharing your feelings, fears, dreams, all of it.
That's it. And it leads to the third level of love that Osho describes as trust from being to being.
Okay, now that sounds pretty deep. What exactly does he mean by trust from being to being? It sounds like it goes even beyond the emotional.
It does. Osho suggests this is the deepest and most fulfilling form of love, where two people connect at the deepest level of their being, beyond ego, beyond the mind, even beyond the heart. A love that's based on complete acceptance, respect, and freedom.
So it's not about trying to change each other or, control each other, but more about allowing each person to be fully themselves.
Yeah, to express their individuality, to grow and evolve in their own way. And Osho emphasizes that that this kind of love, it can only flourish in a space of, well, freedom and trust.
It's not about possessiveness or dependence, but more about celebrating each other's, uniqueness and supporting each other's journey.
You got it. And this kind of ties into Osho's views on society as a whole. I mean, we haven't really touched upon his critiques of, I guess, those societal structures yet.
Yeah, he was pretty outspoken about the hypocrisy of society. He was very, very critical of, well, those who condemn, like petty criminals, but then ignore the corruption and violence often perpetrated by people in power.
Absolutely. And, he argued that society often conditions us to conform, to obey, and to suppress our natural instincts for, freedom and self-expression.
So we're basically, we're trained to be cogs in the machine instead of free-thinking individuals. And he really didn't mince words when it came to politicians.
Oh, no, not at all. He saw politicians as, well, being part of the problem, part of a system that was based on power, greed, and manipulation. He even suggested that politicians were essentially criminals who had been legitimized by society.
That's a pretty strong statement. But I mean, I think we can all relate to the idea that power corrupts and how those in power will often put their own interests above the needs of the people.
Exactly. And his critique, it goes deeper than just, criticizing individuals. He questioned the whole structure, the whole system, saying that, these political systems are inherently flawed.
So what's the alternative? Did he offer any solutions to this? Any ideas about how we could restructure society?
Well, that's where things get a little bit more utopian, I guess. He envisioned this world without politicians, where people are guided by, their own internal compass, a deep understanding of their interconnectedness, and a commitment to, I guess, living in harmony with, themselves and the planet.
Okay, so shifting from this system of external control and authority to one based on, I guess, internal guidance, where people are driven by, cooperation and compassion instead of greed and competition. But is that realistic?
Osho acknowledged the challenges, but he also saw the potential. He believed that humans are capable of evolving beyond, this ego-driven behavior.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a vision worth thinking about, even if it seems a little far-fetched. Maybe we should explore how he suggests we even begin to, I guess, cultivate that kind of awareness, that transformation.
Well, and this is where the emphasis on meditation comes in.
Right.
He saw meditation as, that powerful tool for quieting the mind, connecting with truth, and realizing our potential.
He talked about it as a way to achieve enlightenment, right? But what does he really mean by enlightenment?
That's a really good question, and he didn't really define it as this mystical experience or, I don't know, a state of perfection. He saw it more as simply waking up to reality, to our existence, transcending limitations and realizing our true nature.
So not becoming some kind of spiritual superhero, but more about becoming, I don't know, more fully human, living with awareness, with compassion.
You got it.
Mm-hmm.
And you emphasize that it's not a destination, but a journey. an ongoing process, a process of peeling back those layers of conditioning and all those limiting beliefs.
It's about shedding those masks that we wear, the ones we use to please others, to fit in, and just revealing our true face to the world.
That's a beautiful way to put it. And meditation for Osho was I guess, the key to unlocking that process. It's a way to quiet the mind, to observe without judgment, and just connect with that deeper silence that we all have inside.
All right, so I guess we're back and ready to really explore Osho's perspective on love. It feels like, throughout our deep dive, we've been kind of circling around this idea, touching on love in relationships, love for humanity, even love for existence itself. But I think it's time to really get to the heart of it. What did Osho actually mean by love?
Yeah, it's fascinating because for Osho, love wasn't simply a feeling. It was more like a state of being, a way of seeing the world, I guess you could say. It's about recognizing that interconnectedness, that everything is connected, seeing that divine spark in every being, and approaching life with an open heart.
So it's bigger than romantic love or even the love we have for, I don't know, family and friends. It's a kind of universal love.
Exactly, yeah. And it actually connects back to Sachchidanand. Remember, we were talking about that earlier, that state of truth, consciousness, bliss. Well, Osho believed that that love is the key. It's what unlocks that experience. Because when we're in that state of love, well, we're just more receptive to truth. We're more aware of how everything is connected, and we're more likely to experience that deep joy.
It's like love is the fuel that makes the whole thing run. But he didn't just talk about experiencing love. He also talked about expressing it, right? That's where his idea of celebration comes in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. He believed that celebration is just, it's that natural overflow of love. When our hearts are so full, well, it just has to come out. Through dance, music, laughter, any kind of creativity, acts of kindness. It's all about embracing life, with gratitude, with a sense of wonder, and just letting that joy, letting it radiate outwards.
And it's not about, escaping from reality or indulging in these fleeting superficial pleasures. It's about, seeing the sacredness in, I don't know, in just everyday life, finding ways to, I guess, to appreciate this gift of existence.
That's it, yeah. He challenged us to find joy in the ordinary things, the simple act of, breathing, the beauty of nature, those connections we have. He saw celebration, I guess, as a spiritual practice, a way to align ourselves with the energy of the universe.
He also talked a lot about authenticity, right? About being true to ourselves, expressing our unique individuality, and just living a life that's really in line with those deep values.
Absolutely. Authenticity, it's crucial for experiencing and expressing love, because we can't truly love if we're, I don't know, hiding behind masks, trying to be something we're not. Osho encouraged people to let go of those masks and, embrace who they are, embrace it all, flaws, everything, and to live with that radical self-acceptance.
That sounds, it sounds pretty scary to be that vulnerable, to be open and risk being judged or, I don't know, rejected.
It can be, yeah. But Osho believed it was the only path to freedom and real fulfillment. When we're living in alignment with ourselves, well, we attract people and experiences that resonate with our true nature. We create a life that's actually meaningful and fulfilling, and, well, a life worth celebrating.
So where do we even start with all of this? Cultivating authenticity. It's not like, flipping a switch.
Right. It takes time. It's a process, I guess you could say, a process of self-discovery and self-acceptance. And Osho encouraged using tools like meditation, self-inquiry therapy, to, I don't know, just become more aware of your thoughts, beliefs, patterns. It's like peeling back those layers, all that conditioning, and discovering who you are underneath it all.
And being present, living in the moment, because I guess it's only in the present moment that we can really experience ourselves,
Absolutely. When we're stuck in the past or worrying about the future, well, we miss out on the richness and beauty of right now. And it's in that present moment that we can connect with, our authentic desires and that flow of life that's, I guess, guiding us.
So it sounds like authenticity, presence, and celebration, they're all tied together.
They are, yeah. They sort of feed each other and nourish us and and help us grow, I guess you could say.
Osho believed that this spiritual growth, it's not something you do alone, right? It's something we do together with our loved ones, our communities, even all of humanity.
Exactly, and that connects back to his vision of, a world without politicians, where people are guided by, their own internal compass and a deep understanding that we're all connected.
He believed that true social change comes from, I guess, personal change.
Yeah, that as we become more aware, we naturally become more compassionate, more understanding, and I guess more committed to creating a world that reflects those values.
And he reminds us that that this journey, this awakening, it's not about being perfect. It's about embracing it all, the messiness, the contradictions, the good and the bad, and just loving ourselves and others unconditionally.
That's a really good way to put it.
Yeah.
His teachings, they offer a really powerful and I think empowering vision of what it means to be human. It challenges us to think differently, to question things, and just live with more joy and authenticity.
I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty inspired after all of this. He's given us a lot to think about.
Me too, and it's amazing that even after all these years, his words, they still feel they still feel relevant. Like he's speaking to something deep within us, that longing for freedom, for connection, for something, something more.
Yeah, and he does it in a way that's it's engaging, it's easy to connect with. He doesn't shy away from, I guess, those complex ideas, but he uses, stories and humor, real life examples.
Yeah, he meets us right where we are with all of our, doubts and fears and hopes, and just invites us to go on that journey of self-discovery.
So I guess what's the one thing that we want listeners to take away from all of this? What's the key message for anyone who's on their own, path of self-discovery?
I think Osho would probably say, don't believe anything I say. Just experience it for yourself.
Yeah.
Question everything, explore and find what feels true for you.
It's about trusting yourself, your intuition, your own capacity for, I guess, waking up.
Exactly. And remembering that the journey itself is just as important as wherever you're going. It's about embracing all of it, the ups and downs, and celebrating this amazing gift of life.
I love that. And on that note, I think we'll leave you with one of Osho's most powerful quotes. Life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be lived.
So yeah, go out there and live your mystery. Live it fully with an open heart, a curious mind, and a spirit of celebration.